we are going into something that I think it is worthy of having a conversation on.
Yeah.
That's talking about should customers of a business tag or promo such business on social media after patronizing, and there's views from the net. So before we go into what people had to say about this, what do you think?
I think that it's not a big deal, actually.
Okay.
I think that is not a big deal. Okay. I think that what makes it a big deal is the obligation by businesses saying that you must, you have to, because, but I remember when I was younger, I'm saying this because when I was younger, I remember there was this startup business, online shopping, retail, whatever, and then they used to sell this vintage accessories, and I'm a big accessory person. So I remember, and I was one of their first customers, and I remember that when I placed my order, they sent me an email, just politely asking me, can you please tag us, and then obviously I tagged them, and then they've gotten really big now. So when I look at that, that's why I say it's not a big deal, because I feel like as a paying customer, you are, especially when you are actually satisfied with
the service.
Yeah, with what with the service that you bought or the goods that you have purchased. So I think that it's not a big deal. What makes it a bit interesting or weird is when businesses obligate you.
Yeah,
and I think that's
mandatory.
what the conversation is actually focused on. How about you?
Yeah, I agree to an extent, largely. Largely because it's not a do or die affair. I mean, I paid you already, which is what I'm meant to do. But I feel like if the person is your friend, or like we said, you are okay with the person's service or goods, you can go as far as helping the person repost, word of mouth and all this stuff. But if you don't feel like, or you don't want to, I don't feel it should be mandatory. I don't feel like you don't owe the person.
Yeah, because that's actually promo. That's advertising.
Exactly. You don't owe the person. Okay, for we now, people in the media space.
Yeah.
You have to pay for such things. If you want me to promote something on my page, look, you have to pay, So I don't think it should be something you should force.
Yeah.
Like what that experience you shared, like they send you a message, please, can you help us?
Yeah.
Fine. And if I want to, but do not take offense if I say no.
Exactly.
Because it's also a choice.
Yeah.
I can decide to, I can decide not to.
Yeah. So, from a customer service point of view, I think it's even interesting when you see the thing about selling and trade when you're dealing with customers is that customers always have to have a choice. When the customer doesn't feel like they have a choice, that's when they'll react. It's not like they even, that it's very possible that said customer would have wanted to post it and they tag you. But then when you're now saying that you have to, it's like, whoa, okay.
Okay. Like I'm going to show you.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
I'll show you that I have the power.
Exactly. Customers always need to have it.
Yeah. All right, so let's take a look at what people have to say.
Yes.
Now, this person is John from Lagos.
Yeah.
And John is saying they don't necessarily have to do that. They paid for the service already, so it's a thing of choice if they decide they want to tag the seller to further promote their business out of satisfaction. The only way I feel a customer is obliged to tag or promote a seller on social media is if the product or service is meant to promote the brand and an agreement has been struck by the two parties beforehand. It makes a lot of sense. I know times when this promo thing comes up is when you have some sort of partnership. Then you can come and say, okay, this person styled me, so follow the person's page and try to, if you like what I'm wearing, please. So I think what the point being made here is valid.
I remember I think VEA is her name. So the reality TV star, I remember there was a case that happened with some people that she was working with, and where they told her to, I think did she pay for that wig?
I don't think she paid. I think it was more like a partnership.
Okay, and then they told her
that she has to post and do all this thing. I think it was more like they were mandating her to use their wig. Okay, it's like you like you have a partnership. We have a partnership, and it's about maybe the clothing, and then you're telling me I also have to wear your hair
when
and
she had no business
and it wasn't a contract, so to say.
So just as you have rightfully said, if there's a brand ambassador for a particular brand, product or service. It makes, in fact, on social media, on Instagram, so there's sponsored ads and then there's paid partnership. So, you know, for instance, let's say, you know, I am promoting something to do with Hyper Cruise, for instance. So you say Ade Officier paid partnership with Hyper Cruise.
Yes.
So, you know, that shows that this, what you are seeing is not just a post.
Yeah.
It is actually an
paid
advert.
for.
So as you said, people pay for these things.
Yeah.
So, excuse me, send my money.
Exactly.
All right, so the next comment we have is Mayowa from the United States of America. Mayowa is saying, no, it should purely be out of courtesy. Businesses may plead to customers to help advertise certain goods, but not compel them to because they've already paid for the value they received.
Exactly.
However, businesses may strive to be excellent in their output, which may eventually self-market
Definitely.
them. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, if you are good at what you do,
Exactly.
people would come through for you without you even having to say a thing. Yeah.
Like there are things I bought where they didn't ask me to tag them, but this thing
love
is
it
so
so
good.
much.
Y'all need to have a look. So I tagged them. You know, like I bought like these trackies the other day, and I had to tag them on Instagram because it was really good. You know, so Mayowa rightfully said.
Exactly, and I think this person also has the same opinion. This is Moyo from Lagos, and Moyo is saying, I don't think customers should be obligated, Sha. Most vendors say, please tag us, and that please is enough,
I
Sha.
said, please. I said,
If I don't want to, Sha.
yeah, I don't want to Sha.
Exactly.
You know, and there's some people here. I mean, some people don't like, you know, like when you bought this like one of a kind like dress or shoe. Some people don't want to cast, as in to put in plain English. Some people don't want to reveal where they buy their things so that they don't see everybody. Yeah, so it's like exclusive. I used to do that. So interesting. All right. So Sheye from Lagos. Sheye is saying, I believe that they are not obligated to. There is no way that is part of the contract when buying the product or getting the service that a customer must tag a business owner whose service or goods have been patronized. Paying customers can tag or promote out of their own free will, and that is just fine. Sellers can also solicit for it without being bothersome. Don't force or bug them. Again, and again on customer service. You cannot demand something like this from your customer. As a matter of fact, you can't demand anything. I don't think you should really be demanding anything. It depends on what you're giving out, Sha. But I don't think you should really be demanding, putting a demand on customers. Customers always need to have options. Customers always need to have choices, even when they're dealing with your product or service. Like you have a product in red, you better have it in yellow and black because somebody might just not like red.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's just the nature of business.
You know, as you were talking, the popular saying came to my mind, are customers actually always right? But that's not a conversation for another day.
Yeah, it's debatable. Bolade still feels like they're not. You know, I feel like they are mostly right. But, you know.
Let jump on it just yet.
Previously, we had a look at some WhatsApp comments on our views from the net. Now we're going to be having a look at some Instagram comments to further the conversation. Views from the net is always interesting. I always find it interesting because, you know, we're seeing variety of opinions from, you know, people who have probably had experience with this or some of our viewers who are watching. And it's just, so it takes the conversation away from us and, you know, just puts it into context.
Surprisingly, I think everyone seems to everyone is agreeing on one thing.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
All right. So the first comment we have is from Olusholabumi. And Olusholabumi is saying, as long as I pay you for your services, I don't owe you anything else. It doesn't matter how big my platform is. You know, this comment actually reminds me of, so I think one of the happenings, quote unquote, in pop culture that inspired this conversation this morning was actually Summer Walker. So Summer Walker, the African-American music artist based in America, she was talking about, she went on a rant on her social media talking about, you know, how where she buys a wig from, or where she does her nails, or where she buys her skin products, because she's Summer Walker.
So
you know, because so they're always asking her that tag us, and Summer Walker is like,
I paid.
I paid. Like, I fully paid for, so that's what Olushola Bumi is saying this morning, that it doesn't matter how big my platform is, it doesn't matter how big the platform is. And I think this is a message to businesses out there.
It is. I mean, the fact that she has a big platform doesn't mean that it's mandatory for her to, except we have been saying since we started this conversation, except if she feels like it's a thing of choice. If she wants to, then she will. But the fact that it's a celebrity that is buying something for you, the person paid for it.
Exactly.
I think that's the reason why most celebrities go for this partnership thing. So you don't have to.
No stress. Yeah.
And the next person we have here is Foreign Melvin. And Foreign Melvin is saying, not obligated, but I would want my work to be known that I did it or came from me, with teary eyes.
All right,
we're seeing
the first negation
I mean.
in the views from the net this morning. All right. Okay, so there's something that used to happen on social media a while back. So, like when you make funny videos.
Yes.
And for instance, like what Tunde Ednut does on his page, where he posts a lot of different, so it's like a mini blog. So I remember back in the day on social media, people would demand that you put credit, that you credit the video. So for instance, if they're going to post tea or coffee this morning on Tunde Ednut, it's like we're demanding that you have to tag High Impact, you have to tag Modupe and all this kind of thing. Now it's different. Now it's a lot free, but I remember back then there was a period where it was a serious, major conversation.
Thing. But if I'm going to comment on that, I would say that if you are taking, if I get you correctly, that means if you take something from my page and you want to post it, you have to give me the credit. Yeah, of course. I mean, it's my content.
Yeah. Okay. So
hello.
Okay. So what about products and services?
It's different. This conversation is different from.
How so?
They're on different sides of the coin, because this one I paid for it, so I do not have to post it except if I want to. I don't have to tag you because I paid for the product or the service.
Yeah,
but this one, you are lifting it off my page. It is my content, my brain work. So you have to. What? No, you give me credit that is coming from me.
Well, okay. Some people can argue that they pay to be on Instagram because you actually buy data. So by paying for data, you don't pay to use Instagram, but you are paying to use Instagram. So Instagram doesn't charge you, but you're paying to be on Instagram. So isn't that some form of?
Let me.
Or am I taking it too deep?
You're going too deep.
All right. Okay. So the next comment is Alex Alaymore, and Alex is saying, if you receive my payments, my obligation to you is done.
And that's on period.
And that's.
I mean,
well, actually, I agree. Okay, so I was just trying to generate conversation, but it's interesting though, isn't it? When you think about it like that,
it is. But you're going too deep.
Yeah,
it is. It is. But then I will still stand on the point that even if you are paying to use, all that one is background things. The main focus is that it is my content. I came up with it.
Yeah.
So you have to give me credit.
All right.
So people can know that, yes, it's from Modupe Jacob. She created this. So is a thing of, because the way the social media space is going, someone can see something they like. For instance, if I do a skit, companies might say, I want to give you this ad, help us advertise our products in your next skit. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So is a thing of, if you are posting it and you don't give me credit, it might be you that they will now come and contact. I'm being petty.
Wow.
I choose to be petty about this. So please give me credit and they will come directly to me.
But that's that's actually a legitimate worry, because obviously you do want, when it comes to intellectual property, because that's what it is. Is now that's the space of that conversation, which is not what we're talking about this morning. But when it comes into the space of intellectual property, you want the credit so that you are getting the clients and making those connections. Completely correct.
Okay, so the boy Dame, okay, is saying you want the check or the promo. Can't get both unless I feel like it. And this just sums up what we've been saying.
Yeah.
So if you want the check, forget the promo.
Forget the promo.
Unless you don't want the check and I promo you.
Conversation continues on Tea or Coffee this morning. We are asking, should paying customers be obliged to tag and promote businesses of products and services they have purchased on their social media? But we will not be doing this alone this morning. We have started from Views from the Net, having a look at some WhatsApp comments and Instagram comments. Now, to take this conversation further, we have Gamaliel Tanimomo in the studio with us. He is a strategy and business growth consultant with 15 years of progressive career progression and hands-on experience. He's an exceptional leader with competencies in strategy design, implementation, leadership operations, and people management, and also data analytics. We have the ideal person for this conversation this morning. Good morning, Gamaliel.
Thank you for having me. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for coming to the studio this morning.
Thank you.
All right. So let us just start, with that question straight away.
Yeah.
Should paying customers be obliged to promote products of product and services that they've fully paid for on their social media?
Okay, so I'd rather we'll start with this narrative.
Okay.
The social media is a space
All right.
that is personalized. That space is controlled by government for regulatory purposes and owned by certain platforms. My space is personal. So it's like having a landed property in Lagos. You can't encroach into my space without some form of, say, advice or, say, access. So knowing fully well, we need to understand why people tag or do not tag. Because we need to avoid the issue of spamming.
Okay.
Spamming is a big deal.
Yeah.
So if I have a relationship with you and we've patronized each other, we can now begin to tag each other in subsequent posts.
Okay.
But it must be done with a little bit of decorum so that you don't begin to spam me. Because spamming is a big deal. It's just in Nigeria that we don't take things handle it the way it should.
Okay.
But in advanced countries, spamming is a crime. And you should not just go into people's spaces without a knock. Can I come in? Now, the idea of tagging people is to create brand awareness.
Yeah.
So I can tag an influencer to say, okay, can you please do this for me? So if I tag you, what I'm asking for is brand awareness. Because if you like, if you retweet, if you post, I gain traction on that and it gives me visibility. It increases my share of voice. So I would rather say there's a way to go about tagging so it doesn't become obnoxious with the other person.
Okay, that's interesting.
But then is it a must that they tag actually because you've already paid for the service and the product? I know most people in the comment section were of the opinion that it should be a thing of choice. So what would you say as a professional? Do you think that it's a do or die affair, or is mandatory for customers to post or tag after paying, let me put that, paying for the service?
Okay, you're putting me in a hot set. But I'll deflect your question this way.
Okay.
Tagging is a way of gaining traction and share of voice.
Yeah.
Because the rule on social media is be seen, be heard, be known. Let me say it again. Be seen, be heard, be known. So if I tag you, I have 500 followers, and I tag you, you have 15,000 followers, and you wake up on the right side of the bed, and for some obvious reasons, you come to appreciate what I've done, you can retweet.
Yeah.
And that gives me some mileage. So to the end that those tags are used to promote businesses, increase awareness, I think it's good. But we should draw a line where it matters.
What's that line?
Decency, decorum, respect, and not spam.
I think when you look at respect and decorum within the context of business, that's what I think begins to make this conversation quite interesting. Because, within business, and obviously you're the expert, so please correct me if I'm wrong. So, I would think that, profit margin is what drives the purpose of a business. Like how much money are we making, how much money are we losing, how much money are we putting into cost and all these kind of things. Now, when you now look at, for instance, advertising as a tool to increase profit margin. That's why I find your question interesting. Like, where do you draw? How can a business draw the line of decorum and respect when the ultimate game is to increase profit margin? How does a business determine that line?
So beyond just profit is customer retention.
Okay.
If you offer value, you don't need to go cap in knee and beg, because excellence virtues itself.
Right.
Excellence is not a respect of background. So if I do something that is of high value, I do not need to shout and say, please and please and please. Once I put it out, people who appreciate excellence would see it. So beyond profit is that a lot of people don't understand that customers bring profit.
Right.
Profits don't happen in isolation. If you have a customer and that customer gives you repeat business and on, your profit go in circles.
Right, yeah.
So what I want to do is, if I want to buy a wig from you and I've paid in full, I need to now build a relationship. Make a customer evolve into a loyalist. Because a customer is not a customer until he has made the third or the fourth purchase. Because we all have choices.
Yeah.
For everything that you sell, someone else is selling, perhaps at a lower cost, maybe at a medium cost, maybe at a giveaway price. So until a customer has made the third or the fourth purchase, he or she is not a customer. So what I can now do is to make that customer a loyalist, and the person takes everything about me, hook, line, sinker, fisherman, and boat, and now begins to run with it. And then I just sit back and say, oh, that's the lost doing.
That's interesting.
So for a customer that knows how the game is and has refused to be a loyalist because the customer is perhaps all about the money.
Yeah.
So should the customer request for some sort of discount if you want them to post or tag you, as the case may be, or promote your business in the social media space? Are they right if they ask for a discount?
It's not bad. It is ethical.
Okay.
So in consulting, there's something you call finder's fee. So I give you a contract, you get me some. It's not a bribe.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's statutory. It's professional. So if you want to use me as a bait to an outside world, it's business. Because I have grown my followership organically. So I can send the tweets and everyone, it gets attraction, it gets momentum. So if you want to use me, I can ask for a discount. Give me a 15% discount, give me a 10%, or give me everything.
Yeah.
And let me use it and let me showcase your goods or services to the world. So it's not bad.
Yeah.
Can I quickly use your words? You said use. Does that mean that if I pay for a service and you're still asking me to tag them or a post, that means you're using me?
Yes, because a transaction has been consummated.
Right.
I like your wig. How much is it? 30,000. I collect the wig. I give you 6,000. That transaction ends. If you want something extra, then you are going to be using me. And for that use, there should be corresponding value, except I'm doing it on humanitarian basis. And of course, business don't run on emotions.
Emotions,
Yeah. Okay. So considering your work in the SME space, right? So let's now, let's contextualize this to small businesses. Earlier on the show, we're talking about how small businesses need this kind of promotions, bigger, like a lot more rather than bigger businesses. So, what other ways can small businesses, negotiate promotion with their customers?
Okay, so social media is the biggest platform. So from here and from your studio, you can gain attraction or the attention of the president of the world, as it is, by sending a tweet or by doing a tag. So social media remains the most effective, least expensive, because we can't go into traditional media.
Yeah.
If you're going to put an advert on This Day, on Guardian, all of these brands, the cover pages, it's going to cost you a lot. So social media remains the best. And in using social media, you need to understand, one, the platform you're going to be using and the content for each platform. Because what works for a certain platform might not work for the other platform. So you need to understand all of that. And of course, word of mouth is also good. So I like your blazer. Oh, who did it for you? I like it. Referrals also work. So referrals, word of mouth. You can do paid adverts on social media platforms across. And paid adverts helps you narrow your audience. So you're able to say, I want to sell this blazer. who are my audience? Definitely is going to be male. Male between what ages? 18 and 45. Where do they stay? On the mainland of the island. Where do they work? So it creates a laser focus advertising strategy for you so that you're able to measure results, because what you don't manage, you cannot measure.
Fantastic. Well said.
Interesting. So, for businesses, like you said, small-scale businesses that focus on having these promotions to promote their business, are there other ways they can subtly have people help them promoting their business without having to pay or ask for it? For instance, you mentioned giving something in line of giving, having an excellent service or product that you don't even need to tell people and then they promote it for you. And I think there's one other one that you mentioned about how they can go about it. So are there other ways they can, go about these things?
Okay, selling is emotional.
Yeah.
If you don't put emotions into what you sell, no one is going to patronize you. So, for example, I'm a lady and I want to sell. I can say, oh, kindly patronize me. I am a lady and I use proceeds to sponsor myself in school. That will, in a way, generate some kind of emotional attachment. And people would, because considering the state of the economy, you are not out on the street or by the streets trying to give what you have in exchange for what you want and all of that. So that's another strategy. Another strategy could mean that he's an influencer. And I've gone through your post. You like black shoes. And I'm an SME. I also deal in black shoes. I can also come to you, possibly get your size and say, sir, we have this for you. Kindly retweet. So we need to put that word, kindly, because people have a right to their space. I have a right to my space. You can't just say, retweet, it doesn't cost you anything. Well, it costs me a lot.
Actually.
It costs me my data. It costs me my time. And I could turn a blind eye. And that's where courtesy comes in. A lot of people just go about arrogantly on social media and just tag every Tom, Dick, and Harry because you have access. We should not abuse access. Because you have my social media handles doesn't mean you should come tag me. Because you can't come into my landed property. I would say you're a thief, as it were. Like I said, spaces are personal. And until we realize that they are personal, we should treat it as such. So if I'm coming into your space as influencers, I would say, this is my goods or service, kindly retweet. And I could say, hey, Joe,
like that. That lead me to this question, probably the last question I'll ask you. Do you have any other question? Okay. So, when you talk about infringing or misusing the fact that the opportunity you have to comment and be in people's comment sections.
Okay.
If, for instance, I buy a product from Ade and he didn't tag me.
Okay.
Or, no, I didn't tag him. I buy from him, I didn't tag him. Can he come to my comment section and be like, oh, nice shoes, and tag, okay, is that infringing? Is he infringing?
Okay, to the extent that we are not vulgar in the use of words, we are all creatures of beauty. I could like what you've done, and I could say, oh, thank you. I love that shoe. I love your hairstyle and all of that. But when you begin to see it as a right, that is when, or perhaps the comment by Ade is vulgar. So you're coming into my space. First is you didn't have the right in the first place. And if you must come into my space, then you should come in subtly, professionally, ethically, and not use some vulgar words as it were.
Okay.
All right. Very interesting conversation. It was really fun talking to you.
Thank you.
This morning.
And should we now come to a conclusion on answering the question? Like, let us...
Okay.
Should is it yes? Should it make it yes or no? Should they require the customers to tag them or post them? Yes or no? Let me put you in a tight spot.
I wish I could call someone.
There's no lifeline.
So it's a yes, but with some measure of decorum and professionalism, as it were.
Okay. So please, let's be kind. Let's be kind enough to help promote, these businesses when we purchase things from them. But like Ade said, it's been an interesting conversation with you. Thank you for sharing from your wealth of knowledge.